Welcome to the True Assassins podcast. All right, so we've had a ton of requests to, dig into some of these, honestly, pretty dark stories from Orlando Madsbrine's book, True Kill. It's like, a fast track into these kind of unsettling situations, but without, like, getting lost in the, all the details, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to unpack two really intense stories today, and both of them look at what people do when they're pushed to their limits. So
Yeah.
first, we've got a village priest facing down injustice, but not in the way you think.
Not at all. And then we're diving headfirst into like the world of assassin guilds, right?
Yeah.
With a rookie who gets caught up in a really dangerous lie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So penance in blood. That's our first story. And right off the bat, we meet Father Elias. He seems like, just a regular devout priest, right? But he's in this village and it's ruled by these like seriously tyrannical lords. And the confessional, that's what really gets things rolling.
Right. It's not, the typical gossiping and petty stuff. It's like Father Elias is just bombarded with these horrific confessions. People talking about stolen harvests, leading to starvation, beatings, even their daughters being taken. It's rough. And it creates this tension, right? Like he's supposed to be offering comfort, but as a person, he can see how bad things are. What struck you about this whole setup?
Well, it's that contrast, right? Like you've got this image of piety, right? He should be offering comfort, guidance, all that. But then he's hearing about this unimaginable cruelty. Makes you wonder, when does someone just snap? and that's what happens, doesn't it? The confessional, it becomes less about absolution and more like, well, the notes say war room.
Yeah, I get that because it's like the traditional things, prayer, reading scripture, it just doesn't seem enough against this very real, very tangible evil that he's hearing about every single day. The Bible, it's almost like it becomes this list of grievances, all the things these lords have done wrong. And then his appearance changes too. It's like he drops the symbols of faith for something more practical, something more deadly.
Yeah, it's stark, isn't it? The robes are gone. It's rough spun clothes now. The symbol of peace gone, replaced by a dagger. And the way he goes about it, it's equally jarring. He uses a poisoned communion wafer to get rid of this predatory lord. And then there's this violent night, and he ends up killed by his own sword.
The story calls it gruesome work, born of desperation. What do you think about that? What does that tell us about his motivations? That's the key, I think. It's showing us that this isn't some descent into gleeful evil. This is coming from a place of, necessity. When the system fails, when there's no justice, sometimes people feel like they got to take things into their own hands. They end up mirroring the violence they're trying to stop. And it raises this really uncomfortable question, right? Can justice really come from these brutal acts?
And it works, doesn't it? I mean, at least on one level. Fear, that's a powerful weapon, and it starts eating away at the Lord's power. You get these whispers of divine retribution, and that plays right into their superstitions. And Father Elias, he's still playing the part of the pious priest, right? He sees it all happening. It's like he's manipulating them, using their own beliefs against them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this whole delicate balance, it gets thrown off when the bishop arrives.
Right.
And this bishop, he's described as having, keen eyes and worldly ambition. He's heard the rumors. He's not happy. And he confronts Elias. And this was fascinating, right? This meeting, it reveals that they both have this ruthless side.
Right. Instead of like condemning him, the bishop just comes right out and admits it, right? He says he's been using the Lord's deaths to advance his own position within the church. I mean, that's just wild. They both have this shared darkness, even if it's, for different reasons. It's a huge turning point for Elias. How do you interpret that brief alliance they have?
It's like whatever illusions Elias had about the church being this inherently good institution, they're just shattered. The corruption, it's not just these lords out in the village, right? It goes all the way up. And the bishop, he admits to having the same talent, for getting rid of obstacles. It's like a reflection of what Elias has been doing, even if their goals are different.
Justice versus
Ambition,
ambition, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And that shared darkness, that's what gets the bishop killed. Elias, he sees that they're both cut from the same cloth, and he poisons him. The wine that was meant for someone else, it delivers a whole different kind of justice. It's not about divine will anymore. It's about this grim recognition of a shared flaw. Absolutely. He's operating on a different principle now. It's a much darker understanding of the world. And after all this, he's left wondering, who is he? Was he ever truly a man of God? Is he a murderer? Or is he just, a product of this horrible situation he was thrown into? And the story, it really emphasizes the outcome, right? The villagers are safer, the lords are terrified. That's what he achieved.
Right. So the takeaway from penance in blood, it's this disturbing idea of achieving absolution through brutality, through violence. It's like it comes from the wreckage of his faith. It really makes you think about what happens when the systems that are supposed to protect us, they fail, and people feel like there's no other option.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's switch gears now. Move on to our second story, Ashes of Deceit. This time we're thrown into the middle of this fiery final test for the Ravenheart Guild. They're pretty an odious group of assassins. And we're following Kai, he's a rookie, trying to infiltrate them.
And immediately things go wrong, right out of the gate. They're in the middle of this intense initiation, and the guildmaster, she makes a huge mistake. She thinks our rookie Kai is actually this returning prodigy, another Kai, who vanished years ago. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time, huh? Or maybe it's the right place, just, for a completely different reason.
It's high stakes.
Yeah.
And there's no easy way out. He's surrounded by these expert assassins. If he blows his cover, he's dead. He has to go along with it, pretend to be this guy he knows nothing about. And the story, it hints that the real Kai, he's probably dead, which, just makes things even more tense. I mean, what would you do in that situation?
Oh, man. I think I'd panic, honestly. But this rookie, this imposter Kai, he has to think on his feet. He's suddenly this returning hero, right? The guildmaster welcomes him back. All these Ravenhearts are cheering. It's gotta be overwhelming, especially when she notices that he looks different and demands an explanation.
That's a test right there, right from the start. But he comes up with this story on the spot. It says he was training in the East, learning new techniques. And get this, the smoke from the test. It's made his voice all raspy. So it kind of adds to the whole mysterious persona he's creating. It's a gamble, a big one, but it seems to work, at least for now.
But the danger's not gone, is it? The guildmaster, she's not stupid. She wants to see these new skills he's supposedly learned, welcomes him back to the fold, but it's a challenge, isn't it? He's got his foot in the door, but now he has to prove himself. And we're told that these Ravenhearts, they're like a cult almost, extremely tight-knit. One wrong move, and he's done for.
Yeah. He's walking this tightrope. He has to keep up the act, but he also needs to get information for his own group. It's all about balance, learning just enough to be convincing without giving himself away. The stakes are incredibly high. What do you think is the biggest challenge for him?
Honestly, I think it's the mental strain, the pressure.
Yeah.
He's playing a part, a role he knows nothing about. Every question, every test could expose him. But there's also this weird thing where he starts to embrace the lie, almost enjoy the danger. I think the outline mentioned him smirking, like really getting into character.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like the fear is still there, but it's mixed with this audacity, almost like he's getting a thrill out of it. And the lie, it becomes his shield. It's literally reshaping his identity. He's not just an infiltrator anymore. He's Kai, back from the dead. His survival depends on becoming this fake version of himself and using it to uncover the guild's secrets.
So in Ashes of Deceit, you've got the situation where fate just throws this curveball, right? And this rookie, he's forced to reinvent himself, and the pressure is immense. It makes you think about how much of our identity is, just performance and what people will do to survive when they're backed into a corner.
Okay, so we've just gone through two pretty intense stories from True Kill.
Yeah.
In Penance and Blood, we saw what happens when someone decides to take justice into their own hands, and it blurs the lines between, being a savior and being a sinner. What do you think that says about how fragile society really is?
And then in Ashes of Deceit, it's all about infiltration, about the guts it takes to maintain a lie when you're surrounded by danger. And it makes you wonder, how much of who we are is just circumstance and how much is the roles we're forced to play.
These stories from True Kill, they offer this glimpse into the dark side of human nature. And they force us to confront these uncomfortable questions about morality, about survival, about, the masks we all wear. What are your thoughts? What stood out to you?
Well, thinking about Father Elias, he makes these choices and they weigh on him. And the imposter Kai, he has to be constantly on guard, right? Every moment could be his last. And these stories, they really challenge some of our basic assumptions about justice, about identity. It's pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating stuff.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into True Kill. If you enjoyed these stories, if you're, ready for more, be sure to rate and follow the True Assassins podcast. We've got tons of addictive cloak and dagger stories to tell. Is there anything else? Anything in particular you're curious about? Let us know, and maybe we'll cover it next time. In the meantime, think about this. When the pressure's on, when things get tough, how much of who we are is set in stone and how much can change based on the masks we have to wear.